If you're a complete beginner and you're ready to set up your own home video recording studio, then this course is made just for you. So go ahead and jump down into the description box below. You're going to find a link where you can download the transcript, your gear list, as well as a workbook to help you seamlessly and as quickly as possible set up your studio. If you have any questions for me, please drop them into the comments below, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, and welcome to class. Today, you're going to learn how to set up your own home studio with equipment that is going to make you look and sound professional without breaking the bank. Whether you are an entrepreneur, if you're a working professional, if you're somebody who just wants to get their thought leadership out into the world, either on your website, on a vlog, on YouTube, or on any other social media site, then you're in the right place. If you haven't started yet because you feel a little bit insecure about how to get started, how to make your videos look a little bit more polished than just a home video, I'm here to ease your worries and to help you understand the basics of lighting, of sound, and set design so that you feel ready and confident to start posting videos on the internet as soon as today. Before we get rolling on the learning modules, I just want to preface with this course, it's going to be fun. I'm not here to teach you how to show up stiff and lifeless and robotic on camera. We already have AI avatars to do that for us. And actually, some of those AI avatars are quite good on camera, not gonna lie. So I wanna help you get loose and comfortable and confident so that you actually come off sounding like yourself. And part of the tools and the magic that I like to bring into the way that I teach are just silly little props like this spoon. So if you're wondering what this even is, this is an unnecessary, silly, playful setup that I use because I like it. Some people are bothered by seeing a microphone on camera, like a very obvious microphone on camera, but me, myself, I don't mind it. It's actually part of my brand. And so I want you to feel confident enough to bring in whatever you want into your videos. Professional or pro quality video does not mean stiff, stuffy, and too serious. You know, if you're serious, if you're a serious person, awesome. All the power to you. You can show up with the mic on camera or you can put the mic out of frame. It's all up to you. But what I want you to walk away from this course knowing is that you have the creative freedom to build the set however you want. Since I'm only teaching you the basics, you can take the basics, you can take the rules that I might be sharing with you and just break them all. I want to give you creative license because this is your personal brand that you're going to be expressing on video. It's not mine. So I want it to feel like yours. So creative license is yours. Take everything I say with a grain of salt and let's get started. As far as cameras go, my honest to goodness recommendation is start with what you already have. And if you're thinking, I don't have a camera to start with, yes, you do. You most likely have some sort of a smartphone. The smartphones that are out right now have amazing back cameras. And what I mean by back camera, when I say back camera, is these cameras on the back of your phone. And I myself am an iPhone user, but iPhones don't necessarily have the best cameras. They can just shoot in 4K. So if you have a smartphone that can shoot in 4K quality, you have a professional grade camera in your hand, in your purse, in your back pocket at all times. I want you to start with this for a few reasons. One reason being it's always with you and you need very minimal extra equipment to make it usable in order to start filming pro level videos. Now, there's a couple of recommendations that I do have as far as simple, easy to start with, easy to set up cameras you can use to start filming your videos. And one of those other recommendations is a webcam, to be honest. If you get a webcam that's separate from your laptop, you can find webcams that shoot in 4K or even Ultra HD, Ultra 4K. And believe it or not, the average viewer of your videos is not going to be able to tell whether or not your camera is a super expensive pro level camera or if you're using an Ultra HD or a 4K webcam. The reason why I say I recommend your phone or the back camera on your phone over the webcam is that the cameras on these phones have really gotten good over these past few years. So you can even use the back camera on your phone as a webcam. I know that the iPhone is set up to be a continuity cam, or that's what the name of it is called if you look within the system. Set up your continuity cam and start using your iPhone or your smartphone to be your webcam, and you'll see the quality just shoot right up. I've even seen people getting started on YouTube, very successful creators, over 40, just using the webcam right off of their computer. It's really about showing up and getting started than having the perfect equipment. But if you're a gearhead like me, then you're going to want to know about this next recommendation. So this next recommendation is actually the camera that I've been filming these videos on this entire time. So if you've noticed a switch in the way that the video looks, it's because right now I'm using my iPhone 14 Pro back camera to film this segment. Okay, so this is probably the best purchase that I made in all of 2024. I'm so glad I did it. It is a little bit pricey. So if you're not looking to spend a bunch of money on a camera, then just go ahead and use the phone that you already have. Use your webcam right off of your computer, or use the webcam that you're using that is something that you're going to attach to the computer. This webcam right here is the Logitech Brio, and I must have gotten this 5 years ago or so. Still a great webcam, but I've just scratched up the lens so I never end up using it. If I don't use this next camera that I'm about to show you, then the camera that I use is my iPhone. And I wanted to show you what that looks like and sounds like. Actually, I'm not using the microphone from the iPhone. I'm using a different microphone right now, which I'll be showing you in the next section, so just hold tight. Okay, so this camera is by far the easiest, highest quality camera that I've ever used to film anything. I mean, it's almost easier to use than the phone. I just use it on its default setting. So if you're somebody out there who knows a little bit more about cameras, that might make you cringe, but I'm just being honest with you here, and I think my videos look pretty good. Okay. Enough yapping. This is the camera that I'm recommending. Now, this is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 Creator Kit. It right now has the battery attachment. So this extender handle is actually an extra battery that plugs right into the camera. And the camera is so easy to just even turn on. All you have to do is flip this screen. And the camera is attached to a gimbal, which means that the camera can move really smoothly and gently. So you can vlog with this camera. You can keep it stationary on your desk. You could put it on top of a tripod. There's so many things you can do with this camera. You can shoot in horizontal mode. You can shoot in vertical mode. And it's basically just turning it on and then hitting this little orangey circle, and that's you already recording. The sound, especially if you're not far away from the camera, is already great, just straight out of this camera. However, the camera does come with a microphone, and here's the microphone right here. And so this is the microphone that I generally use when I'm using this camera, although you can pair this camera with other microphones as well. When I use it as a webcam, I can use it with whatever USB mic or XLR mic is connected to my computer at the time. And I just can't say enough good things about it. The battery life lasts really long, and the image quality from this camera is outstanding. So, if you are in the market to purchase something new, I highly recommend this one. The problem that I had when I first was trying to start a YouTube channel was that I thought I had gotten an easy camera to use, but I wasn't camera or tech savvy at all back then. And I barely used that camera, and it was the Canon Rebel T2i. So it was before the Rebel had a flip screen that you could open and then see yourself in the frame. And so often I would be out of focus, or I wouldn't actually be recording and I wouldn't notice that that was what was happening. And so it got really frustrating to film with that camera. There were a lot of creators back in the day who had a lot of success with that camera. I was just not one of them. I moved on to the Canon G7X Mark II when I tried again in 2017, 2018. Again, I never ended up using that camera to actually film. I now use that camera to shoot my thumbnails for my YouTube videos, but I never use that camera to film. This camera, it's so convenient, it's so little, and it comes with a little carrying case. You can put it into the case and into your bag, and then you can just grab it right out of your bag and start vlogging as you're walking. And you have this screen so that you can see yourself. And when you can see yourself in this screen, it's the same camera that rotates to face you. So you know exactly the image quality that you're going to get. Something that happens when you're using the iPhone camera is that you can't actually see yourself as you're filming unless you use something like a mirror or a screen monitor. That way you can monitor what's going on the screen of the phone, what you're actually shooting. So if you are in the market, grab a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Otherwise, use your smartphone. Trust me, you will thank me later. It is not worth it, especially in the beginning of your journey, to get an overly complicated camera, because that camera, if you're anything like me and you're prone to frustration, is going to end up sitting on the shelf, right? And what you want to do is you want to get started posting videos so that you can get your brand out there into the world, finding the people who want to hire you to speak, who want to hire you for your services, or who want to buy your products online. Let's talk about tripods and simple camera accessories that you might need in order to have your camera positioned in a really comfortable and easy to use way. As you can see, I'm hands-free because I'm going to show and tell this part. Okay, so the tripod that I end up using the most, whether I'm using my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 or my iPhone 14 Pro, is the Ulanzi mini desk tripod. I don't think it's called the desk tripod, but that's where I put this tripod, is generally on my desk or on a table. It does have an extendable arm, or it is an extendable arm. It also has this top part where you screw in right to the bottom of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And for the iPhone or any smartphone, this is what I use to attach the phone to the mini tripod or to any tripod. So as you can see here, there is a place to screw in to the bottom of the tripod, and you would just put your phone into the phone holder with the screen facing out, and the camera can just be free with this bar across the back, because you don't need to look at the back of the camera. But if you end up putting in the phone backwards, you won't be able to control or see what's on the screen. And that'll be important if you do end up getting one of those mirrors that actually just shows you what's happening on the screen that's shooting from the back camera. So when you shoot with the back camera, this is what you're going to be looking at, right? You're just going to be looking at the cameras. You're going to figure out which of the cameras you're actually using to shoot. And then you're going to position it where you're not looking at the screen, you're looking at the back camera. Easy, right? So this is what I was using to film that last segment with the phone on my desk. And it's so easy to just stand up right on your desk, really easy setup. I kind of just keep this tripod already set up with my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 already standing on it. So if I am not shooting on my desk and I need a camera to show me like standing or just showing a different scene where I'm not at a table or at my desk, I'll use this other Ulanzi mono tripod. It's weird because it used to be a monopod when it was just like a pole that you would put your camera on top of to study it. But now there's like these little legs at the bottom. Let me see if I could open this up. There you go. Some of these tripods have more legs. Like I have another tripod similar to this one with 4 legs, so it's not literally a tripod, it's a quad pod. But anyways, this gets pretty tall, and then you can screw the DJI camera right into that little bit on top. And both of these tripods have this ball joint, so you can really angle your camera the way you want to angle it. Super easy to use. They both are very portable. You could put it in your bag and shoot outside or on location. You can just keep it stationary in your office or wherever you're going to shoot videos. These tripods, the ones that are tall, I just keep them assembled in a corner of my studio. And then depending on which camera I'm using at the time, I'll generally just have it connected to the little mini desk tripod and have it stationed on my desk. Another cool little contraption that I like to use when I'm shooting with my iPhone is this little nifty gadget right here. If you have a magnetic phone, you could find a little magnet like this that works both as a phone grip and as the tiniest tripod. So you could just set that on your desk if you're shooting vertical video. If you're using the front camera, the back camera, it's a little bit hard because of the tilt of the phone because it's using the desk or the table to lean on. You could also put the phone sideways. So if you were to shoot with the front camera, maybe a little bit easier with the back camera here, but then again, it does tilt a little bit funny if you're trying to use it for the back camera. You're playing a little balancing game, but it also works as a little handle if you're wanting to not hold the phone and film yourself selfie style. You could hold the phone from this little contraption right here. I don't remember the name of it, but you'll see the item on the screen. Anyway, I needed to show you this because this is probably the cheapest and most used piece of gear that I have when it comes to filming on my phone. Next up, let's talk about lighting. I want to help you get easy, simple, beautiful lighting that's flattering and that's clear so that you are in focus in the video and it's not super distracting. Now, the good news is you don't need expensive lights to make your videos look good. But if you have great lighting, then it actually increases the quality of the video. You don't have to have the most expensive camera, but if you have great lighting, then your video quality just shoots way, way up. This might be a matter of opinion, but I'm not a huge fan of those ring lights. I think in some cases it can be flattering, but it's harder to control the light and what it's emphasizing on your face. Those lights are often too small to light up your background in a flattering way as well. So I have a few recommendations, of course. And the first recommendation that I have is to use sunlight. If you're somebody who's really on a budget with your gear, I believe that some of the most flattering videos are actually just being lit by the sunlight coming through a window. Now, I am somebody who tends to shoot at different hours of the day or the evening. So when I do want my lighting to be consistent, what I turn to is my softbox kit. Before I show you the softbox kit, let me go ahead and show you what I was using while I was traveling or when I'm trying to film like in my kitchen or in a place that might need a little bit more light and I don't feel like lugging the softbox into the other room. So as I said before, I haven't used ring lights in a very long time, and I'm actually a big fan of these little lights. These and clip lights that you could actually just clip onto your phone if you're using your phone to film content. Now, this little light is quite powerful. Let me turn it on. You can kind of see right now it's on the color green. So if I'm wanting to light my background, I could use this light. See how bright that is? It's so small, but it's mighty. You can use this light in a range of temperature settings as well as any color in the rainbow if you're wanting to use it as a decorative light to light up your background. But the reason why I like this is because you can attach this to a tripod if you're wanting to use it to, say, light yourself in a space where you're not trying to take soft boxes everywhere with you. They're big and they're just a little bit cumbersome to move from room to room. This light also just attaches on top of the phone mount. So if you were to be using this light with your phone would go into this section, right? And then you could turn this on and you'd have a really bright light. The level of the light also changes, so you don't need to be blasting yourself in the face to get good lighting, but just a really handy light to have if you happen to be somebody who wants to travel or vlog or use the same light to make your background look a little bit interesting. And here's what my softbox lighting kit looks like. I use the Skytex lighting kit and I really like it because you can use a range of temperature settings. Temperature settings meaning whether the light is closer to daylight or candlelight. And the light can be way more powerful than it is now. Actually, the way that I have myself lit is probably on the lowest level because I'm sitting so close to the light and I like my studio or the set to feel a little cozy and a little bit darker and a little bit calm. So it also depends on your preference and how you want your audience to feel when they're watching your videos. I can use both of the lights from the softbox lighting kit, but I rarely ever do unless I have someone else in the video with me. And in that case, I light myself and then I light the other person individually so that we both have a flattering light on each of us. Definitely do not let this step be the thing that slows you down or stops you from filming if you can't afford to get the soft boxes or you don't have enough room. Just use daylight. It is the most beautiful, flattering light. And in the section where I teach you how to actually set up your space, I'm going to talk about how to get daylight to look flattering when you're using it to shoot video. So remember, even this kit, this lighting kit, is not expensive in comparison to a lot of professional lighting kits, and you get 2 lights with the kit, and it does come with the tripods and the bulbs and the remote controls and everything that you need right out of the box, so that's why I end up recommending it to a lot of people. I have just been enjoying them. They've been pretty consistent, even though I do have to set it to whatever temperature I want it to be at and the level of light that I want it to be at every time I sit down to film. However, you'd be doing that with almost any light anyway, and just double checking it in your camera to make sure you're liking how the lighting is making you look. So my best piece of advice on the area of lighting is you want to get lighting that is soft. There are other options out there like LED lighting panels that you could also use, but I like to recommend that if you do get an LED lighting panel, that you use it with some sort of a diffusion so that it's not a harsh light on your face. I have seen some people be able to light themselves successfully with those types of lighting kits, but to make it easy on yourself, either use sunlight or a soft box when you're starting out. Let's talk about sound, microphone, echoes, how to make your sound good. As you can see, I'm wearing a different mic right now than the one that I was using from the last few videos, and I'll explain why as we're talking about sound. Okay, so my favorite mic to use, especially with the camera that I prefer, which is my DJI Osmo Pocket 3, is the mic that comes with it. The mics that come with the Osmo Pocket 3 are the DJI Mic 2s, and it is a wireless lav mic, and without its little furry hat, this is what it looks like. And some people will point out to me in videos that it's not windy, so I don't actually need this little furry hat, but I just like how it looks, so that's how I'm gonna do it. You don't have to do it in studio, especially, like, it will not make the sound any better or any worse if it doesn't have this little fuzzy part attached. It's, at this point, for me, just a personal preference. I think it looks cute. So this actually can attach to anything, right? You've seen it attached to my shirt. I attach it to my wooden spoon. You could actually attach it to the case that it comes with as well. And so it's really easy to clip it to something versatile to use, and the sound from it is great. So this is the mic that I mostly use when I'm filming my YouTube videos. And if this mic is running out of battery, which it is, and that's why I'm not using it right now, I love to turn to the Hollyland mics, which is this magnetic mic I have right here on my shirt. So let me show you the case and how I'm even attaching it to my computer right now, because this Hollyland mic, it comes in a set of two. It has a transmitter, which the transmitter is in use right now. So if you can see right here, this transmitter is being connected to my computer via USB-C cable, a high-speed one. It goes from USB-C to USB 3.0, and you can see right now that the one mic that I'm wearing is attached. If there were two people in this room, I could put this mic on the other person and we can do like a conversation together for a video. We could do a podcast together with this mic set, and the sound is excellent. It also attaches to my phone, and it also comes with one of these transmitters that have a USB-C, but I lost that one. So I'm not using it. I'm using the transmitter instead. I've had some people report back that they've been dissatisfied with cheaper wireless lav mics. And so whenever that happens, I always tell them that they should just look into this one. It is a little bit of an investment, but in the end, the quality of the sound and the reliability of the mics make it worth it. Something to look out for if you're shopping for a lavalier mic in general is that if you're somebody who has long hair, or if you're wearing clothes that overlap the microphone, you might hear rustling, and it's really hard to get rid of that rustling over voices. So I highly suggest to put the mic somewhere where you're not at risk of things like shuffling around on top of the mic. That way the sound stays clear and clean. If you're somebody who's looking for a mic that's more of a podcast style mic, there are two podcast style mics that are entry level that I highly recommend. One is the Blue Yeti microphone, and it also comes in a nano version, which is the smaller version. I was actually using the Blue Yeti Nano as I was traveling, and I recently got this mic right here. This is the Samsung Q2U USB or XLR compatible microphone. It's not currently hooked up, so you're not listening to the sound coming from the Samsung Q2U, but this is the mic that I will use if I'm doing any sort of training or conference call, or if I'm not wanting to fuss with my mic at all and trade it out for a spoon holder or whatever have you. This is the mic that is just attached to an arm that allows me to quickly swing it out of the way if I need to, or just adjust it depending on the way that I'm sitting. The reason why I use the arm, because this mic actually does come with a stand. I use the arm because it's less likely for the mic to get any interference in case, like, I get really enthusiastic and start, like, some people, like, get really, really excited and they'll, like, slap the table or they'll do something on the desk or they'll write, and it ends up shaking the microphone. So I decided to get an arm so that it just could easily be pushed out of the way so that there's less interference with me whenever I'm trying to do something on my desktop and use the mic at the same time. If you're really trying to stay below a certain budget, then something else you can do, especially for voiceovers, if you're using your iPhone or if you're using your smartphone in general, is get yourself a pair of wired headphones that have a microphone on them. So this is just a pair of my Apple wired headphones, and the sound, if I am trying to do a voiceover for a short form video, sometimes it's just easiest to grab these and to use the microphone that's attached on these headphones right here. And the sound quality is pretty good, to be honest. So if you're trying to save money, like really, really save, and you're shooting a lot of content on your smartphone, this would work as well on a phone that's not an iPhone. If you were to get some wired headphones that have a decent microphone on them, and these are pretty cheap. These are, I don't know, maybe they're $20, I'm not sure. But it's easy to get a hold of a pair of these and just let yourself use the microphone on them because the sound quality coming from this type of headset is actually pretty clean and clear. On the contrary, I would not actually use a headset like this if I wanted to get clear sound on my videos. So these are my Sony XM4s, I believe. And although they do have a microphone and I can make phone calls, the sound quality from this headset is terrible. I mean, it sounds good in my ear. These are noise canceling headphones. I usually use these to edit, but if I'm trying to make my sound that I'm recording sound good, these are not what I use. These, and also, and this can be a debatable topic too, I would not use the Apple AirPods or any sort of wireless in-ear Bluetooth headsets because the technology right now for those microphones isn't up to par with something like this, which is a wireless lavalier mic meant to make the sound that you're recording sound good. So there is a difference. If you're going to use a headset, use wired. If you're going to use wireless, make sure it's a dedicated lavalier mic. You may have heard the argument that sound is more important than the actual video quality when it comes to making YouTube videos or videos in general. And I have to agree. Even if the video quality is coming from the front camera of your smartphone, if the sound is clear and clean and crisp and not super staticky sounding or like background noise interference, then it's so much easier to watch those type of videos than it is to watch a video that is crystal clear, high quality, but the sound is either too quiet or muffled, or it has a lot of background noise, or there's so many things that could happen to the sound that a lot of the time when we're watching videos on YouTube or on any social media, Well, actually, this more applies to YouTube. When we're watching those videos, we would sometimes just put down our phone or put our laptop to the side while we're doing something else, and we're not exactly even watching the video. We're just listening to the video. We're listening to YouTube. So I do recommend that regardless of what you use for your camera, do invest in some sort of device to make your sound higher quality. So whether that be a wired set of headphones or if you decide to invest in a lavalier or if you were to get yourself a podcasting mic, either a USB mic or a mic that has an XLR cable that attaches to an interface, which, by the way, you don't need that unless you have two people recording at the same time and you're deciding to use this type of microphone, then that is a very worthy investment for your home studio. Now that you got all your equipment, it's time to pick the best spot in your house for your home studio. What I suggest is that you pick a room that doesn't have super high ceilings. And if you can, a room that's smaller, not like closet size small, but smaller rather than larger. It is easier to control the echo in a room that's a smaller room. And it's easier to also control the lighting and what the background looks like when your room is small to medium size. Now, let's talk about where you're going to place your camera, your lighting, and your mic, or where you're going to hold your mic in order to get the best visual and audio effect of the video that you possibly can. Now, as you can see, I have my light placed pretty high and I only have one light lighting me up. This is my preferred look for the type of ambiance that I want to create through my videos, which is kind of dark and cozy and comfortable and calming, depending on what type of atmosphere you want to provide to your audience. You have to make decisions about your lighting and about what you're going to put in your background based on that emotion that you want to help your audience achieve when they're watching your videos. I know from working in the media industry that lighting makes all of the difference. You can place a light in a bad angle or a bad position, and it makes your face look somewhat distorted. So, my best advice to you when setting up your light is that you want the light at kind of a 45-degree angle. So, a 45-degree angle, so it's pointing down and directly at you. Now, I am saying this to all of us, including myself, who are over 40 and who want to have a very cleanly lit looking video. What I mean by that is that I am not a spring chicken anymore, and I cannot be having side lighting that shows my texture and shows all of the imperfections in my face, even though I'm not trying to make this perfect. I'm just trying to do my best to light my face in a way that's flattering for me. I know that sometimes people like the dramatic lighting look, but personally, I just want the light to look flattering. So if you do like a more dramatic look, you can light yourself a little bit from the side instead of just straight on. Notice I said that the light is at a 45-degree angle and not blasting me straight on. So the light is not coming at me this way, but it's kind of coming at me this way. And what that does is it actually lights my cheekbones at the highest point and gives me this natural shadow. I mean, I'm saying it's a natural shadow because it's being caused by the light. It's not something that I put in with makeup, although I did contour my face with makeup. The light is helping that contour to do its job. If you're wanting to give yourself an angle of light that is very flattering, it's also putting my chin and everything underneath my chin into shadow so that that looks slimmer and more defined. It's also just lighting me as the focal point and not everything in my background. Although you can see my background, it's not completely pitch dark back there, and I don't want it to be. This angle of light, I have found is the most flattering if you're wanting to have more of your bone structure highlighted and more of an aesthetically flattering light in your studio. Now, if you're a glasses wearer and you're finding that the lighting that you have is reflecting into your glasses, this section is for you. And there's a few more bonus tips in this section as well. So, what I want to tell you as a glasses wearer is that everything that is a light that is pointing at your lenses is actually going to show up on camera. So, what you're going to have to do as somebody who wears glasses is put your light up a bit higher than the light that you could be using if you weren't wearing glasses. And what I mean by that is by extending the actual tripod to be 10 inches taller than you would put your lighting if you weren't wearing glasses. So I'm going to show you something. The light is strategically placed right now so that it's not causing any glare in my glasses. But as soon as I look up like this, you can see exactly where the light is placed. So I'm going to turn so you can see the angle of my head. And this is going to show you the angle of where the light is so that you'll know if you're a glasses wearer and you're somebody who tends to like move your head around a lot as you speak, you're going to want to train yourself to look mostly forward and nod your head more in this downward movement than this upward movement if you're not wanting to show the glare in your glasses. So I'm up here like this. This is the angle that's too far up for me to look if I don't want the glare to show up in my glasses. So I'm gonna have to keep my head at this angle. I'm just checking myself to make sure. Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep my head at this angle so that the light isn't reflecting and causing glare into these glasses. Also, if you're somebody who has a big computer screen and you're a glasses wearer, you're gonna wanna make sure that all of the backgrounds on any windows open are a dark background. The dark backgrounds will reflect much less than if you have a blaring white background on a document or any other site that you're on if you're keeping your computer screen on while you're filming and if you're filming right next to it, this is another thing that causes glare. Now, what I did with my DJI Osmo Pocket 3, because the screen on the DJI does face me when I'm filming so that I can see myself in focus and make sure that what I'm getting on camera is what I want to be getting in the scene. I actually turned the camera around because the camera is on a swivel on that gimbal part. I was able to face the screen away from me so that it didn't cause any extra glare into my glasses. A couple more tips for lighting. Number one, do not use your overhead lighting. The overhead lighting, yes, it will light up the room and make it brighter in the environment so that you can see what's going on the camera, but that type of that type of lighting isn't the most flattering. It doesn't put you as the focus of the video, and it can cause odd shadows, especially if you are a glasses wearer. You have to watch where the light is because it could start to cause that glasses shadow right underneath your eyes. So you're gonna have to play with the light as somebody who wears glasses. If you're trying to light your studio properly, just take this one piece of advice and don't use the overhead light. Now, the light that I have shining behind me is for ambiance. It is a very dim light. It actually looks brighter in the shot, but I like the look of that light lighting up my background for that extra feeling of coziness. If you're wanting to use more than one light, then make sure that the lights that you're using are in front of you. You don't want them overhead. And if you're going to add more lights, make sure they're either in front of you or behind you. The lights behind you can be lighting up your background and creating an ambiance for your videos. The lights in front of you are putting you into focus and making you look good. As for using natural light, depending on what time of day it is, the light is either coming in directly and blasting through the window, or it's just coming through the window in a natural way, but it's not coming in through the window direct. I want you to use that indirect window lighting and set yourself back some feet away from the window. So you don't want to be right up against the window. You want to be set back. I think I put myself about 4 to 5 feet back from the window so that I'm getting a very evenly lit look to my video. If you're outside and you're using the sunlight as your natural lighting, the best thing to do is if you can get underneath a roof so that the light is not coming from overhead, but you're controlling the light in a way by letting the light come from in front of you because there's a roof or a tree or something over your head and you're letting the light come in front. That sort of lighting is also flattering when you're outside. Moral of the story is to properly light yourself and to make your videos look good, light yourself from the front. If you light yourself from the back or are backlit, a lot of the time you just don't show up clearly on video. You're not the focus, and it can cause glare and a low quality looking video. If the room you're building your studio in has an echo or some bad acoustics, don't worry. This is not something that you have to break the bank in order to fix. So, what you're going to want to do, which is something that I did for this room, is you're going to want to put as much soft, cushy, absorbent material around the room as possible. Doesn't need to be material. It can be furniture, it can be cloth, it can be pillows, blankets, plants, shelving. You just want to kind of break up the flat, hard surfaces that are in the room. So instead of the sound bouncing all around the room, it gets absorbed by these soft things that you're putting into your studio. So, a few things that I've done is put down an area rug from wall to wall. I've also put in curtain. I've put in a bunch of plants. And this is something that you can do as well. You don't need to buy acoustic panels. They can get pricey, especially if your room is big. And the acoustic panels that I put up aren't that thick. They're doing their job, but they could be doing a better job. There are thicker acoustic panels. There is acoustic panel art that you could get so that it's aesthetic in your background and it looks intentional. But before you go out and start buying new acoustic panels to put all around your room, check what you've already got. See what kind of blankets you have, what kind of fuzzy rugs you have, what kind of pillows you can put around. And you'll notice that there is quite a big difference in the room once you do these simple things by putting down a rug or by hanging a curtain, by filling the room with plants. As for mic placement, you're going to find out that there's an optimal position per mic. When I was using the Blue Yeti, I was surprised to find out that the Blue Yeti actually has to be vertical and that you talk into the Yeti perpendicularly, if that makes sense. And then when I switched to the Samsung, you speak to it directly like into the mic, a different position, a different mic. This mic wants to be a little bit close to your mouth, but not too close. And I'm sure you hear it if once it gets too close to my mouth, you start to hear those S's and P's in the pops. And it just depends on what mic system you decide to get on how it will sound. So you're going to want to test out your sound system and you're going to want to test it after you have everything that you've put into the room in order to dampen any echoes. The background that you build in your studio is going to be due to your taste and your preferences and how you want your audience to feel once they watch your videos. So there's so many different things you can put in the background, right? You can put shelving, plants, furniture, like a couch. You can make it cozy. You could put awards. You can put nothing. You can shoot right onto like a blank wall if you want. If you're going to be doing green screen, you can put a backdrop in and you could put that green backdrop in and buy different backdrops so that you can switch it out whenever you want. There are so many different ways to build your backdrop. And my best tip is to let yourself have some room. There's quite a bit of room behind me. From me to the back wall, there might be 8 or 9 feet. I wanted to see some depth in my set or in my studio. So I actually put the desk against one wall because I wanted the space behind me to feel like it was further back. If you need to have your back a little bit closer to the wall, that's okay. Just remember that when you're setting up your lighting and when you're setting up your camera. My preferred camera angle is straight ahead and maybe a little tilted down, but that's just because I don't like to see too much of my ceiling in my frame. So this is something you're going to have to play with also and do some testing before you start to film the actual videos that you're going to publish. What I mean by that is that you're the one who gets to look at what you're recording and decide if that's the way that you want your videos to look. If there's something that you want changed, you're the one in charge. You're the one who gets to decide. I know you remember the time when everybody was taking selfies from a really high up angle and it looked really cute in a way because it was slimming down our faces and slimming down our bodies. But if you actually look at those pictures and those videos objectively, you'll see that your body looks quite distorted, like your upper half of your body will appear much larger than the lower half of your body, which some people like that aesthetic, but to get a very accurate looking video to life, I guess, I always set my camera up at about eye level to me, and I adjust for that ceiling showing. So this is something that you will start to develop is how you want your videos to look, your taste in the lighting and in the way that your camera angle sits. And you'll notice if it feels like the camera is looking up your nose constantly, your camera is probably set too low. If it feels like you're always looking up toward the camera, then your camera is probably a little too high. So these are the things that you're going to have to test on your own and make decisions about because you can trust yourself in this process, right? You have the tools and you have the ability to hit record, see if you like it, trust your instinct, and just go. A very important step in the studio setup is testing. And what I mean by this is before you completely finish setting up your background and setting up everything, your lights, where you're going to be sitting, your camera, all of that stuff, you want to see what everything is going to look like as you're building it. And what I mean by this is you don't want to set everything up and, like, be guessing where you want everything to go. You want to make sure that you're putting things into the right place as you're placing them, especially if you have heavy furniture or big curtains or a big art piece that's going to be hanging behind you. What I suggest you do is to actually set your camera up in the position that you're wanting to shoot in, meaning if I was going to be redoing this space, I'd set my camera up before I took everything down, or at least before I started setting it back up. And I would open up my Google Meet or Zoom or whatever recording software you have on your computer so that you can see using your computer as a monitor what the backdrop is going to look like before it's built. Now, this is something that we would do on set. We would have the basic setup of what the set was going to look like, but the final touches had to be made on camera. And because we didn't want to be continuously guessing at what it was going to look like, the camera was always just on. When we were testing to see what the makeup would look like, we would bring the model to the camera so that we could see what she looked like on set and we can make any adjustments that we needed to make before we actually started to shoot. Now, this is a tip I also have for anybody who's going to be wearing makeup on camera. If you want to know what your makeup's going to look like on camera, do your makeup wherever you're going to be sitting or standing on set on camera. Like I suggest you turn on Zoom, You're going to be the only person in there, but it's going to act as your monitor so that you can see what your makeup's going to look like when you've shot the video. You don't want it to be a guess. Don't let any of this be a guess. Of course, you don't want to have your camera running the entire time, but you can test periodically throughout the process to see what the lighting's gonna look like, to see if that lamp looks good in that corner, to see if the rug actually shows up the way you want it to in frame on video. So test before you start to actually record. That way you don't have to rearrange the room a million times because you waited until the final video was shot to decide if you liked the way that the room was set up or not. This same tip applies for you if you wear glasses, if you're wanting to test out if an outfit's going to look good, if you're wanting to see what it looks like with you and somebody else in the frame. You're going to want to test the lighting before you start shooting. You're going to want to test the camera angle before you start shooting. So do it with a monitor. I'm putting monitor in quotes because Zoom is not a real monitor, but it will show you what the camera is pointed at when you're setting up your shot. My computer is right here, and I'm actually shooting straight into Descript. Descript gives me a monitor so I can see what my shot looks like as I'm actually speaking into the camera. So I have two different places where I could see what the shot looks like. I have the screen here on my camera, and then I have the monitor that's showing up on my computer screen. So do yourself that favor and set yourself up for success by continuously testing the shot throughout the process and not just waiting until the very end. I want to give you a checklist of common mistakes so that you can catch them before you make. This first one is a common mistake that was happening back in the day before we had flip screens to see ourselves in frame before we were actually recording. This mistake is being out of focus. Now, it still can happen depending on the camera that you're using. So I want you to have a fail safe or like just have a checklist of things that you're going to make sure of before you get going, because there's nothing more frustrating than making it through a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute video and realizing the entire thing is out of focus or that the focus was on something weird like a stain on your shirt. This doesn't happen a lot with the camera that I use, but this can happen. It's happened to me on my iPhone when I was using another app that wasn't the camera app that comes on the phone because I was supposed to pick my focus, but also I was supposed to set the white balance and I didn't. So the entire video came out looking like I was a vampire. The color was so off, and I, honest to goodness, don't know how to color grade yet. So I just tweaked it as best I could and I posted it as is because like I said, I'm not here to make it perfect. But now that I know, this is something that just doesn't happen to me anymore. Another thing to check for is if the light is too bright. Or, like I said in the last tip, if the white balance is off. So you're going to want to check this somehow. If you don't have a monitor, then take a test video and then watch that test video and then go back and film yourself after you've seen that the test video is okay to make sure that the color looks right and that the lighting isn't too bright or isn't too dark. I know that I'm shooting in dark lighting here, but I'm still in focus and you can still see me evenly lit. So you're going to want to make sure that you're doing that same thing for yourself. Ooh, this next one was something that actually happened to me with one of the videos that I was recording for this course. You're going to want to make sure that the correct microphone is connected to the camera that you're using and that the microphone is actually recording correctly. This just recently happened to a client of mine where she went to record her first YouTube video and she was using an iPhone and a new mic that she hadn't used before, only to come and find out at the very end of having recorded this whole video that the mic was recording in a really weird way. It sounded like the sound was coming from two different devices. Luckily, she was shooting the video on a phone separately than a phone that she was using to shoot the audio. So she ended up just using the video sound and using the Underlord AI sound editor in Descript to fix the sound. And that video was actually salvageable. So she got lucky. This is also a mistake that's pretty common when you forget to hit record. This actually just happened to me. I was going to film this segment. I had talked for a good 3, 4 minutes straight and looked over and realized that I hadn't even hit record. So I had to do this segment over again, which is fine. But even in the best of circumstances, even as somebody who knows this already, I still didn't double, triple, quadruple check. And I had to basically shoot this segment all over again. A few more things. You wanna make sure that your camera battery is charged. You wanna make sure that you check your teeth, check your nose. You wanna make sure that if you're somebody who's wanting to show up in a professional way, that you don't look sweaty or oily on camera. And if you are somebody who doesn't know what to do about that, go run to the drugstore, get yourself a translucent powder. You can just get a pressed or a loose translucent powder. Translucent means that it's not going to leave any color on your face. Get you a little bit of powder and just powder in this T-zone. It doesn't take like a professional makeup artist to be able to do this for you. Powder your T-zone so you're not, shooting ray beams back into the camera because you're too shiny. If you like that look, then by all means go for that look. But this is for anybody who might not like that look. You can either use powder or you can use those little like oil blotting papers. Those work great too. Last but not least, this might be a particular or a very specific circumstance, but if you live in a city where there's a lot of events and there's a lot of people and it tends to be noisy, make sure that you're not shooting on a day where there's a giant parade or a protest going on outside. Another client of mine, we would go over and shoot at his condo, and he lived on the 25th or 24th floor, which was surprisingly loud. It would pick up a lot of sounds from the plaza 24 floors below outside. So sometimes we would go over and the mic would just be sensitive enough to pick up the protest happening in the background of his videos. So if that's something that bothers you, and it is something that can be a pain to edit out of your videos, just double check the day that you're wanting to film to make sure that it's quiet around your house. Maybe it's just lawn cutting day and you don't want to have that lawnmower in the background noise of your video. And of course, remember to leave room for imperfection. Even though now you have all of these tips and tricks and mistakes that you have been warned and cautioned about, mistakes are still going to happen. We are imperfect. We're human. We're working with technology that is also imperfect. And it's really, really easy to get frustrated and to give up before you give it a good enough go. So take it from me. I got really frustrated when I first tried to start a YouTube video in 2016 and it just took me so long to film and edit that very first video that I gave up after one, and that YouTube channel is still out there and it's never been seen. I mean, I'm just kidding. There are some people who've watched it, but I thought I was taking a break and I ended up giving up. That was in 2016. I didn't start a channel again until 2024. So don't let this be you. Expect yourself to make mistakes in the process of learning how to do this. It's part of learning, it's part of the fun. If you can find love for that part of the process, if you can find enjoyment in learning, then this is going to go smoothly for you. And I'm just excited to see what it is that you do with your brand new studio setup and the confidence to get recording and showing up out there on the internet. Congratulations, you made it, and now your studio is ready. So, what are your next steps? It should be obvious. You got to film that video. So, number one, go ahead and film your first video. Number two, if you're not already doing it, go to YouTube and follow my channel. My handle on YouTube is at J Navar X, and I'll spell that for you. It's at JENNAVARX. Next, when you go to post your video, wherever you post it, I have the same handle everywhere. Please, please, please tag me in your first video. I want to be able to celebrate you and your brand and showing up. And if you happen to do a studio tour, I'd love to shout you out on my channel. So please, please, please make sure to tag me. As for me, I will be dropping the next creator kit soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. And as always, I'll look forward to seeing you again next time.